What's going on, my trainer club? Today we're going to check out the top counters to get you guys set and prepped for the Latios and Latias shiny raid weekend coming to Pokemon Go. So welcome to the trainer club. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Let me know in the comments below, how are you doing on the rush ramps? Are you excited to get after Latios and Latias this weekend? Because we have a 4-day raid weekend that is going to be coming starting on Friday the 12th at 8 a.m. all the way until Monday the 15th at 10 p.m. local time. So Latias and Latios both have shiny potentials. The Latios is going to be like a turquoise green and the Latias is going to be like a light orangey yellow type color. So I really like these shinies. I think they're really cool. They're fun Pokemon. They're a little bit challenging to catch. So if you guys do want to check out my excellent throw tutorials, actually the Latios was one of my first ones that really started to gain me traction. So I'm going to drop those in the pinned comments below. So now let's get into everything we need to know, including the 100% IVs. We are going to go over the counters, and then we're going to go over the party setups as well as the moves to make sure you guys are all set up and ready to go. So let's get after it right now. As far as the 100% IVs go, let's start off with that because that's one of my favorite things. Then we'll get into the typings. So Latios is going to be 2178 under normal conditions, which is going to be level 20, and then boosted it is going to be Dragon Psychic. Both of them are going to be, they're only boosted in one condition, which is going to be windy because it covers both typings at a level 25, 27, 23. And then as far as the Latias, I think for myself personally is a pretty easy 100% IV to remember. Level 20 is going to be 2006. Once again, same typing, boosted in the windy conditions. It's going to be 2507 for the level 25 100% IVs. So those are the two to look out for. And like I said, both of these Pokemon are going to be the same exact typings. What differentiates them is their stats as well as their movesets. They do get similar movesets, but they do have different ones that make them useful for different things. So they are Dragon and Psychic Pokemon, so they are going to be weak to Ice, Ghost, Fairy, Dragon, Dark, and Bug combination. They're going to have resistances to Electric, Fighting, Fire, Grass, Psychic, and Water. So 6 weaknesses, 6 resistances. They do not have any type of double weakness or double resistance. So let's check out the stat comparison before we get into how many players are going to need for these Pokemon. Latios is going to be max CP of 3812, an attack of 268, a defense of 212, and a stamina of 190. In comparison to the Latias, 3510, attack of 228, defense of 246, which is going to be higher, and then it has a stamina of 190. So the differentiating factors between the two Pokemon, Latios has the higher attack and the Latias has the higher defense, and they flip-flop between the two like a seesaw. As far as the Latios, higher attack, lower defense. As far as the Latias, higher defense, lower attack. So that's what you guys got to be careful for because the Latias is going to be a little bit tankier. As far as players needed, it says very high level trainers, meaning you're level 40 and all of your counters are virtually level 40 counters. You're able to take down both the Latios and Latias with 3 players. I would be very cautious of that just because we have spammy moves, we have powerful moves, we have counter moves for the counters, meaning the dragons are going to be weak to dragons, which these Pokemon do have their moves. So just be cautious. I would start off with 5 players and then work your way down. I'm sure that 4 high level players could easily do this, but the 3 players, just make sure you have the best friend boost, maybe the weather conditions to make sure it's going down. 2, I really doubt. So now we're going to get into the movesets and then we'll start breaking down the counters for these Pokemon. So as far as the movesets go, Latios is going to have Zen Headbutt and Dragon Breath. And then as far as the charge moves, it's going to have Psychic, Solar Beam, which hits very hard. It's one of those really powerful moves like Draco Meteor, like Overheat. It just does a lot of damage. And then it has Dragon Claw. The thing about the Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw combination is that it is very quick to charge. So oftentimes it will literally just be firing off virtually just Dragon Claws and it can do a lot of damage to all of the other dragons. And then Latias is going to be a little bit different. Latias has 2 of the same quick moves of Zen Headbutt as well as Dragon Breath, but then it also gets Charm, which does a lot of damage. I'm sure you guys are used to fighting against Charm in the Go Battle League, and you do know that it packs a powerful punch. Next, it also has charge moves, so it's going to actually have Outrage in place of Dragon Claw. It doesn't get off quite as fast, but it's still a 2-bar charge move, and it is very powerful. It is going to pretty much KO any dragon that it goes against. And instead of the Solar Beam, it's gonna get Thunder. So for any flying type Pokemon, you have to be wary of this, except the dragons, because dragons are going to be resistant to electric. Flying's gonna be weak, so it's gonna be neutral, so it's probably going to hit the Rayquaza still pretty hard. And then of course, it still gets the Psychic move, which did get a buff, so it is pretty powerful. And so now that we know the 100% IVs, we know the weaknesses, we know the strengths, the resistances, we know the moves, it's time to get into the counters. So we're gonna start off with the Latios counters, and then we are gonna move into the Latias. So Latios, number one counter, they're gonna differentiate just a little bit, is going to be Rayquaza with the Dragon Tail Outrage combination. Like I have said though, guys, be careful with the dragons on the dragons because they're going to be weak to that moveset. So Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw, or Dragon Breath and Outrage is going to hit these Pokemon pretty hard. But since the Dragon Claw hits a little bit less hard, it's gonna warrant to be able to use Rayquaza as the number one counter. It's gonna have the lowest time to win at 684 seconds, but it is going to have 36 deaths, which is going to be quite a lot. And then next we would say probably the safest counter that we do have is gonna be Dialga. Dialga not being weak to anything that typical dragons are gonna be weak to, including the Dragon Breath. Draco Meteor and Dragon Breath combination is going to be the Dialga, so that's going to be counter number 2. If you want the safest bet, that's the Pokemon that we will lead all of our parties with. And then we have the Pokemon that is not out yet, but for the future, it's going to be Zekrom with the Dragon Breath Outrage combination. And then we have Palkia with Dragon Tail Draco Meteor combination. Cool thing about Palkia is that dragons are going to resist grass, water is going to be weak to grass. However, since they have that combination, they're gonna neutralize out and it's going to just be a neutral to grass, making it be able to use in this situation. But I'm telling you, that Solar Beam will still hit very hard. And then we have Salamence with Dragon Tail Outrage, followed by the Dragonite with the Dragon Tail Outrage combination as well. Do be careful, both of these Pokemon are gonna be weak to the dragon moves. And then we have the Reshiram, new Pokemon, might as well use it if you guys do have one that you just maxed out with the Dragon Breath Draco Meteor combination, followed by Garchomp with Dragon Tail Outrage. And then we have the Darkrai with Snarl and Shadow Ball combination. And I know you guys are like, why is the Dark combination, since it does get stab effectiveness, not the most? I don't know, but the simulators kick out the Snarl Shadow Ball as the most effective option for these Darkrai. And so that's just what we're going with. But if you so choose to do double Dark on this Pokemon, you can definitely do so with the Snarl Dark Pulse. Then we are gonna have Haxorus. Haxorus does get the Dragon Tail in combination with the Dragon Claw. And then we have the Giratina Origin form with the Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball combination. Be careful of this Pokemon because it's going to be neutral to Psychic. So it's not gonna resist the Psychic, so it's probably still gonna get hit relatively hard. And then we have the Chandelure with the Hex and the Shadow Ball combination. And then we have the Latios. Latios, Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw combination against itself, followed by the Mewtwo with the Psycho Cut Shadow Ball combination. Mewtwo is also a relatively safe bet as well. Then we have Hydreigon with the Dragon Breath, Dark Pulse combination, followed by the Honchkrow with the Snarl and the Dark Pulse, which some of you guys may be big fans of the Honchkrow. However, be careful because it is a flying type Pokemon and it is going to be weak in the case of the Latias. So you can't double use it if it's going to have Thunder in that regard, which is going to transition us into the Latias counters. But before we do so, if you do want to pause and check out any of the lower tiered Latios counters, you can definitely do so here. So then on to the Latias. We now have number one counter, not out yet, but in the near future, it's going to be out. We have the Zekrom with the Dragon Breath Outrage combination. The reason why we're using Zekrom as the number one counter is because it has resistances to the Electric Thunder move. Next, we then have the number one counter that's going to be out right now is going to be the Dialga, Dragon Breath, as well as the Draco Meteor. The cool thing about this Dialga is that it's going to resist the Electric, it's going to resist the Psychic, and it's going to be neutral to Fairy as well as Dragon. So it is the top counter for all of these Pokemon. It's also going to double resist Grass for the Latios. So man, oh man, Dialga, great Pokemon to use as you're starting in all of your parties. Next, we have a lot of Pokemon that are going to be very similar. We have the Rayquaza Dragon Tail Outrage, followed by the Palkia with the Dragon Tail Draco Meteor. Both of those Pokemon are going to be weak to the Dragon as well as the Charm Fairy move. So be careful there. Then we're on to the Reshiram. Cool thing about Reshiram with the Dragon Breath Draco Meteor is that it is not going to be weak to Fairy. So it's going to be neutral to Fairy, so Charm doesn't affect affected as much. Then we are moving on to the Garchomp with the Dragon Tail Outrage combination. This Pokemon is going to be triple resistant to electric. So really good Pokemon here, but it is weak to dragon as well as fairy. And then we have Salamence with the Dragon Tail Outrage combination, followed by the Latios with the Dragon Breath and the Dragon Claw. Then we have the Dragonite with the Dragon Tail Outrage, followed by the Darkrai. Be careful with the Darkrai because it's going to be weak to fairy of the charm move, so it's going to get chewed up pretty fast, which is why it dropped down a little bit on the counter. And ironically, as we just talked about, this one in this particular counter guide is going to be more effective, don't ask me why, with the Snarl and the Dark Pulse. Then we have the Haxorus with the Dragon Tail Dragon Claw, followed by the new Galarian Darmanitan with the Ice Fang Avalanche combination. Then we have the Giratina Origin form with Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, followed by the Weavile with the Snarl and the Avalanche. Be careful, Weavile is going to be weak to the charm. And then we have the Chandelure with the Hex and Shadow Ball, followed by the Mamoswine with the Powder Snow Avalanche combination. So if you guys want to check out more counters than all the way to the 16, you guys can definitely do so to check all these guys out. So now that we have all that done, as far as the weather conditions, what are going to be the effects? So as far as the sunny weather, it is going to boost the Solar Beam of the Latios. So very, very cautious time. Solar Beam, like I said, hits very hard, so be cautious during this time frame. On to the partly cloudy weather. There is going to be no effect, and in the cloudy weather, Charm of the Latias is going to be boosted, so be careful for all your dragons. Man, that's going to be a very powerful quick move. On to the rainy weather. So rainy weather is going to boost all the bug type counters, but notice we did not have any bug type counters in here. It's also going to boost the thunder of the Latias, so be careful during the rainy weather because that thunder is going to hit very hard, especially for the flying type Pokemon that are not combined with dragons. And then moving on to the snowy weather, if it is snowing where you guys are, it is going to boost the ice type counters. So the Galarian Darmanitan would be a great time to use during that time frame. And then we have two more conditions that are basically going to sum up the entire rest of all of our counters, basically making up the majority of the boosts as well as the counters. So we have the windy weather. The windy weather is going to boost all of the things that are going to include, we have the Psychic and the Dragon types. So it's going to boost Latias and Latios all the way to level 25. If these Pokemon are using these Psychic moves, it's okay. But if they're using the Dragon moves, they're going to make them very powerful. But if they are not, and it's windy weather, our Dragon counters are going to be able to do the most damage. And then finally, we have the Foggy Weather. Foggy Weather is going to boost our Ghost types and the Dark type counters. So guys, this is going to be a great time to use stuff like the Darkrai, as well as the Giratina and the Chandelure, as long as it's not having the countered move of the Charm in the Latias position. Which then finally leads us to our party setup. In my opinion, the best way to go, the absolute best way to go, starting off would be using a Dialga, as always. And then you can follow that by all dragons. So this is going to be your all dragon type party. If it is going to be Latios, you can definitely just use this party regardless, because like I said, the Dragon Breath and the Dragon Claw, although it's spammy, it's not going to KO your Pokemon. However, in the Latias position, Outrage is going to hit these dragons very hard, so using that Dialga as the buffer, if you see Outrage come in, you would then back up. But notice what your parties are being picked of in the auto populator, and it's going to give you indicators of what moveset that this Pokemon is going to have. So if any of the dragons are not being picked, good chance that it's going to have Outrage or even Charm. And also be careful of the Charm with the dark Pokemon. So that's going to be under Latias. However, hopefully you guys are going in with big enough parties. And then the one thing you're going to have to be careful of is using flying type Pokemon such as the Honchkrow when it has electric. So if it's going to be a dragon Pokemon and flying like the Rayquaza, the Dragonite, or the Salamence, it's going to be neutral to electric. So being that it is very strong move, probably still going to do a lot of damage, especially to that Rayquaza because it's a little bit more glassy of a Pokemon. So the easiest party to set up would be all Dialgas if you so desire, but if not, just make sure to follow the auto populator standpoint. It'll give you the indicators of what the movesets are going to be and then adjust your parties accordingly. Some relatively good neutral Pokemon are going to include Reshiram because it's not going to be weak to the Fairy. We have the Latios, which does not have an extra resistance, so it's going to be resistant to the electric, and as far as the grass also as well. And then you can obviously use the Mewtwo as well because Mewtwo is not going to be weak to any of the movesets. So that's gonna do it, guys. Hope you guys get out there and get your shinies. I really hope that everything goes your way. You get 100% IV or whatever you're looking for, and as far as the restaurants, you stay after those because we have Zekrom coming very soon, which we will obviously cover. So I'm gonna see you guys this weekend. I'm excited for this. If you guys haven't been following me on Twitch, I just started live streaming, so we're gonna start getting into that as well. So thank you to all my likers, commenters, subscribers, Patreon members, everybody takes their support, subscription, and participation to the next level. I'm gonna see you guys out on the next video. Peace! I just want to take a moment and sincerely thank all of my Patreon members, everybody that has taken their subscription to the next level and chosen to support me on this platform. I greatly appreciate you guys. As a growing channel and really trying to grow and improve as much as I possibly can, I really appreciate the extra support. You guys mean the absolute world to me. I cannot wait to connect with you soon, and I appreciate you guys all for being a part of the Trainer Club. I will see you guys out on the next video.